For this next video, I want to show you how to create a new project in PyCharm and how to the different files and parts of PyCharm. So currently we do have GitHub Copilot installed and linked up. Okay, so you'll need to do that. If you don't have the log out from GitHub, make sure you connect in and connect into your GitHub. That would be awesome. So I'm going to go File, New Project. Okay, and in this project, I'm just going to give it a name, and I'm going to remember where I'm storing my projects at. Okay, and then down here is my interpreter, and I want to make sure that I have my interpreter. Now, this interpreter is the 3.12. I just installed 3.13, but I'm going to keep it at 3.12, and this is going to be called Project 2. And I'm going to click Create, and it's going to create a new project. Okay, now, things to think about as it's creating the project. First, it's going to create what's called a virtual environment. Okay, the virtual environment is this venv folder right here. We don't ever put anything into this folder. Okay, this folder, we keep it closed, and we don't put anything into this folder. This is the virtual environment where we install packages. Okay, if we look around, this is our folder explorer. Okay, this right here is where all of our files reside. And then down here is our interpreter. Okay, so this is where we can see if we have an interpreter. Okay, interpreter means when you go to run an application. Now, let's create our first simple application. I'm going to right click, I'm going to say new, and I'm going to create a Python file, and I'm just going to call it test.py. Okay, and in test.py, I'm going to first declare some variables. Okay, and we're going to say number 1 is equal to 10, number 2 is equal to 20, number 3 is equal to 30. Okay, now a couple things that we want to talk about here. First, everything is done with underscores, no spaces, and everything is kept lowercase. We keep file names lowercase, variables lowercase. Okay, notice that here this is number 1. This is called a variable. Okay, this variable is like a bucket in memory where you store a value, and this value just happens to be the number 10. If I wanted to put, let's just call this text underscore 1 equals, notice how text is green and it's within quotes. So we want to make sure we put it in between either double quotes or single quotes. That doesn't matter. Okay, so text is a type of data type and a number is a type of data type. Okay, and now we want to print the variables. Okay, so I'm going to say print the variables, and it's going to say print number 1, print number 2, print number 3, and print the text. Now, if I run this application, it's going to start at the top. It's going to create 4 little buckets and put these variables inside those buckets, and it's going to print out each of those buckets. Now, this is how you run them. You click on the little terminal, and you can say Python test.py. Now, what I just did, I always like doing this. I hit test and I hit tab. Hitting tab will autocomplete, and it knows if that test is really there. Okay, so I hit run, and it runs the application 10, 20, 30, and hello. 10, 20, 30, and hello. Okay, so that application ran. Okay, so .py has to be your file name. Keep all the file names lowercase. White space matters. White space doesn't really matter. Okay, we like to keep things together. Okay, and to run your application, you click on the little terminal window down here, and you would type in Python and then the file name. Okay, you can also right click and run the test, and it will do it again. So you can right click, or you can come up here and just click run, and it will do it again. Keep running it. Okay, or you could say from whatever the current file is, run. Okay, so I'm going to add a second file, and we'll call it test2.py. And in test2, we're going to add a couple of things. So we're going to do plus 10, plus 20, plus, let's just do plus 30. And hello, we can even do a plus here too. So we'll do plus world. And notice it put a space here, okay? And now when we run it, okay, we run the current file. It runs test 2, not test 1. If I click on test 1 and run the current file, that's test 1. I can come on to test 2, that's the current file. Or I can do the drop down and say run test. And even though this is selected, it will run test. Okay, I can also just come over here and say run test. And now in my drop down, it will remember I have test and test 2. Okay, so you can pick to run it. Once it's run, there's nothing else there. It doesn't have to run again. Okay, now for your virtual environment, this little thing here, this little virtual environment, we always like virtual environments. This right here is this little parenthesis, or the VENV, means that this folder is the virtual environment, and that this right here means we are logged into our virtual environment and it's working. Okay, if you don't see the name of your virtual environment right here in these little parentheses, then you're not in your virtual environment and it's not going to work right. Okay, all right, so that is the short little video on writing a Python file and getting started with that. So we are good.